The observatory intention is to be able to gather information about the trends and what is going on in BRT in the world. So we decided to create a website and embark as support of the network is working in this effort. And what we have is a group of people all over the world trying to gather data, as much data as possible on BRT and bus corridors. We decided at the very beginning of the effort to concentrate on bus corridors and try not to differentiate between a BRT and not BRT. Reason being is that is an endless debate and we will never get to it. And what is important, and that's our understanding, is enhanced bus service. So we decided to gather as much information as possible. So what is there is not necessarily what many people want BRT to be. So we have that, we try to be as inclusive as possible. That's one thing. The second thing is that we try to get the basic information from the agencies and directly from them to be reported in this database. We started with a really long list of indicators that we created together with David Henscher, and after a discussion inside the Center of Excellence, but it was almost impossible to gather all this information. So when we start gathering information, we decided to go to try to do two things. And we feel very comfortable with what we have done for the first thing. It was trying to get as much systems as possible with basic information, as much systems as possible, as much corridors as possible with basic information. Then a second phase of our work is going deeper in a sample of those systems. So in the webinar that we presented last November, we introduced this database, and something really important has been the collaboration that we are receiving from CBRT, Luis Gutierrez as Executive Director, with the agencies to have not to have different data in the CBRT site and in the BRT.org site. And the other collaboration, which has been really important, has been from Professor Swami in India to get information also to try to work and progress towards information in Asia in the initiative that he has of BRTS Asia, which had the first conference last year. So this is the website. The website is brtdata.org. As with any website, we are in constant evolution and progress. Right now, my own perception of the website is not working as good as possible, but with the inputs of several people that is using it, we are improving it. And there are some basic statistics that the website has. First is the number of cities, and this is contentious, always will be. How many of these cities? It has errors of inclusion and errors of exclusion, but we are trying to do the data quality as much as possible with our team in Brazil and the other people, and we are talking about these statistics and with the collaboration of all these centers. 147 cities, 3,700 kilometers, 259 corridors, and as you see, well, we are able to pull out really good information to be able to look these at the geographical level, what is happening at the country level, and what is happening at the regional level. This is very important to show, well, the leadership of cities in Latin America right now. In our count, and Gerhard has its own number, in our count, bus corridors and BRT. It's 50 cities in Latin America, 146 corridors, and what we see as very interesting, red light.
I don't need the red light first.
Okay. We have Asia following. Well, Asia is a big continent, but right now it's 25 cities, 25 corridors, 6 million passengers per day. And we see that is a geographical distribution. Something interesting that we have been able to pull out of the statistics is the evolution. and the evolution of bus corridors and BRT systems. It's quite interesting. Before 1990, we are able to see that only 14 cities have. In just one decade, another 19 cities added to the list, and you see places around the world. And since 2000, 114 cities. So for those who went to a public transport course before 2000, I believe everybody in this, not everybody, we got some people that went to public transport course, the first one after 2000. Well, for those of us who went to a public transport course before 2000, BRT didn't exist. Is a true statement? Now, if we keep teaching with the books before 2000, we are not seeing BRT because it's not there. And it's not there for the UITP because when they describe transport modes, they don't have BRT. And it's not there for several of the textbooks that are still being used in transportation courses. So one very important thing we need to do as part of our work is getting BRT as something that is taught in the very basic courses and in the graduate courses, because it is not for many right now. So the database helps us creating that information to work in making BRT visible in the academic world and in the rest of the world. That's kind of one of the most interesting things we can get out of it. The next phases for our work will be going deeper in a selection of corridors, so we are able to get information from the selection of corridors to understand better performance, to understand better quality, to understand better what really matters in terms of systems design. And the third thing we will continue doing in the observatory will be to work with specific case studies so we can document them. We are already finished, well, Juan Carlos, with some collaboration from my part, and work in PUC with a really good case study on Santiago, which is going to be presented to the WCTR conference. We are doing 2 case studies in Colombia as part of this, with the collaboration of Pilar in Cali, and following up what is going on in Bogota, that are integrated systems to look not just at the BRT element, but at the integrated systems level. So this is the result of our activity. I have to say that presenting just 4 slides out of that big work is not fair with those that are working there, the team in Brazil, the team here in Washington, D.C., and the team and the rest of Embark Network that is supporting the effort. But just getting this data proved to be really, really tough. So I am open to questions and regarding the next steps and the activity of the observatory, and I really appreciate the support that Lucho is giving us from CBRT and the upcoming support of Professor Swami with this initiative in India. Thank you.
So I open the word for questions regarding the observatory. Any comments or questions or challenges for this team?
Yeah.
Yes?
I noticed Rio de Janeiro is not at the observatory. So only through public agencies you collect the data, or should we, from the private sector, feed you all as well?
Well, if you look at the observatory, Rio de Janeiro is in the observatory.
No, as you showed there, it was not information. I saw herbs, and there was no public agency from Rio de Janeiro there. And
Well, anyways, thank you very much. We are in touch with the agency in Rio de Janeiro through our center, and the information we have it is reported already in the observatory, but we really welcome the collaboration of the operators, because the operators in Rio have really a lot of good quality information. We have the two types of systems that are right now in Rio, the Transoeste that just opened, and the BRS, the priority systems that are in downtown Rio de Janeiro.
I talked about the observatory, but I wanted to talk about the CBRT.
CBRT, okay,
we're not
that's
still there,
that's two different things, so it's
Yeah,
a different
yeah, yeah,
conversation. I really appreciate the point, and we can have that conversation about CBRT directly with him and at that moment. Thank you so much. I was surprised, I said, we put Rio there.
So Tony and then Gerard.
Just a very quick thing, given that Suzy is so willing to collaborate, one of the key issues in our observatory is to get data on the costs. And certainly, I mean, we should at least try to approach them and see what we can do.
Yeah, that would be really great. And also try to build trust through her with other operators
Yes,
in Brazil.
that's true.
Gerard?
I have a question of a little methodological on how you deal with this and how you deal with the dispersion at the, call it, lower end. Improved bus services, of course, is a lot of things. And if I sort of think of Europe, Japan, North America, there are thousands of cities that over the years have had this or that improved bus service, which in that sense would be part of your system if you get data. So my question is, A, do you maybe disperse, maybe too much, your own resources to get involved at the, call it, lower end? Doesn't even mean bad, but at the end, which really thousands of cities have done, A. Secondly, for the consumer of your website, who looks at the top end, well, you look at 2,000 cities and don't know what to do. So that's my question, whether you don't want to have a cut-off somewhere of, you know, any bus service in the world has been improved sometime in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we did, before starting the data collection, we did an extensive definition of the indicators of what qualifies and not qualify. I am able to share that, but one critical element to be part of this bus corridor is having bus exclusivity, at least in some section of it, or bus lanes that have public transport only on those part of it. So it's not just general improvements. We were dealing, for instance, with a very specific case of the Metro Rapid in LA. Metro Rapid in LA is a really good improvement, but doesn't have exclusivity in any part of it. So, and it's very extensive. So we decided not to include if it doesn't have bus exclusive lanes in some sections. It's not the whole lane. So that excludes a whole lot of these systems. That's some, and we have a very clear definition for inclusion there. But the bus lane component is critical. Yes, Pilar.
Just by looking at the data very quickly, I don't see any information on accidents or accident rate. I don't know if I'm missing it, or do you have it? And in case not, do you expect to do some gathering of information around that?
Yes, well, that's a very good point. What we have right now, it's supply data, not much of the performance. So very, very small an impacts. We have very small information about performance or impacts. Demand and speed are the only two things we're really looking at in terms of performance right now. We think that's important, but we decided to build up, not to try. At the very beginning, when we were defining what to look for, the list was endless, and we had long discussions on what to go out and see. So this is a really good point, and it's very important for us in terms of our work, and we will see how, probably only with a sample of systems, we will look at the traffic data, fatality rates, and injury rates.
I think there's here, I mean, we put the basement of this thing, And now we need to start building those elements that will make it distinctive and will make it even more valuable. And maybe one of the aspects that in some way takes Gerhard's point is that is it more valuable to have lots and lots of corridors with information that is somehow available and where if you want to go deep, probably you'll have very little percentage of the information you need, and by the end you'll have most zeros than info? Or would you like to take a subset of them now and go very deep, trying to get detailed information so that you can start making cross-section analysis and try to make how one elements affect others, and maybe accidents would be one of the topics that you certainly want to address. So I think one of the challenges that we can have here is to start saying, okay, fine, now you need to maybe choose 10, 12, 15, and go deeper into a more selective or a broader set of indicators which are more specific and could be much more valuable in terms of analysis. Huh? Yes?
Yeah, maybe it's important to mention that we have a broader set of indicators in the CBRT database. You can visit
And those indicators are not here?
No, the other indicators.
And they're not here yet?
We have consolidated the same database in terms of the indicators that have the global BRT database. Beyond that, we have other indicators in CBRT that have been provided by the agencies. No? In the case of the Latin American agencies that are part of CBRT, if you go to the data sheets in the website, you can find all the indicators we have collected, some information about the safety and others. So the idea was
for 19 systems in Latin America, not in brtdata.org, but in CBRT Online, there's a extended
data sheet of the
that is an extended list of indicators
in the CBRT. That is important because it's supplementary.
Complementary.
Complementary.
In terms of the information that could be provided, I think a priority could be towards the information that's used in appraisals or cost-benefit analysis and so forth. When people around the world are putting forward their case for the BRT, where do I turn to for this information? Pilar has already suggested a very important one, accidents. We don't have references that we can easily get at, and I think the observatory could be an excellent source for people all around the world.
Okay. Tony?
Yeah, just to mention about accidents, for instance, I mean, it's terribly difficult to get all this data. So just to mention, it's not easy to, I mean, it has to be personal contact to everybody, and in accidents, it depends how you register the accident. So we have cases that the register is only on the lane and not the whole avenue, so it gets very complicated just to raise. And the other thing I'd like to mention is we are interested in doing some clustering analysis out of this data, so I'd like to know if any of you would be also interesting of joining and doing this within the center and helping us to do that, because we have access, and certainly you would also have access to all the data that we give.
Okay.